Over the past few months, I've seen a very interesting claim about YouTube links on sites like Reddit. Some users pointed out that when you click the share button on a video, the link you're given contains an extra segment not part of the original video link, and that segment is there to track you across other sites. We know big companies and especially Google are known to collect data, but this part of the link is specifically being labeled a tracker, which definitely sounds worse than just collecting analytics. And I don't think most of us know the ins and outs of how links actually work deep down, so how legit are these claims? So first of all, let's actually look at the links we're dealing with. If you want to open YouTube in your browser, you simply type in youtube.com, probably enough times that it auto-completes it for you. That link is the homepage of YouTube, and it's actually very basic looking without any long strings of characters since it's just the domain of YouTube. Now clicking on any video makes this link change. It still begins with youtube.com, but now has a /watch after it followed by a string of letters and numbers. You probably already know this is the actual video link that is unique for every single video on YouTube, and the different characters here are simply just telling YouTube what video to show you, so all good so far. But when you click the share button specifically, the link you're given is still that same video link, but now has another string of seemingly random characters which is not part of the original video link, as removing this new segment still makes the video play properly when clicked. You might think it's something to do with presenting the video in a specific way, like maybe for embeds, but clearly the link works without this segment on any site you add it to, so that's not it. And we know it's not about important metadata like timestamps, since enabling that adds its own little section to the end of the link. So then what is this unknown segment? So the very basic idea of a link is that it's used to basically send you to the correct path to receive or get data. Now there are different types of links you can enter on your browser. For example, you can do a local link, which basically lets your browser find files on your computer and show them to you. But in this video, all that matters is the much more common website link. What we're used to today is that typing the name of the site followed by .com or something else will send us to that website. So for example, google.com will of course send us to Google's website. It used to be common to see an HTTP on many websites, and I remember being taught in school the distinction between HTTP and HTTPS and why it's very important. But today, basically all browsers automatically use HTTPS by default and do all the work for you, meaning that just typing google.com is enough, and the browser just passes that as HTTPS google.com in the background, with the :/ being an old way to separate the HTTPS part from the domain. You also used to see www before a domain, which is called a subdomain. It's a similar case as with HTTPS, where browsers just autofill it for you now, and except a few rare cases of websites having different important subdomains are just something we don't think about anymore. And while this might seem like an obvious thing to cover, it's a good thing to know since it gives us some extra foundation for the other actually important segments of links. Like I'm sure you've seen links with slashes, and there's one in the video you're watching now, and these effectively represent the different pages of a website. Sites can be thought of like just folders with stuff in them, and if the domain is the main folder, so like google.com, then slashes tell you where you are inside that folder. So google.com/Gmail means you're in the Gmail section of the Google site. So this is how sites take you to various pages. Then you get links that start to have question marks in them and usually tons of random gibberish, and this is where links get very confusing for most people. You've probably seen this when copying long Amazon product links or Google search URLs or just quote-unquote unique links in general, things like meeting or calendar links. This is what's called a key equals value pair. The basic idea is that after a question mark, you can pass data to the website page you're on. For example, when you search something on Google, the link often includes Q equals followed by your search term. That Q is the key and the text after the equal sign is the value. You can also send multiple of these key and value pairs by separating them with the AND symbol. If you're even a bit familiar with how functions work in code, it's pretty much the same idea, where the site is coded to check for all the values inside the link and then do something with them. So again, if you search for something on Google, the link will have a key called Q and the value of what you looked up. So you can actually just modify the value of Q in the link and the page will reload with that new value in the search bar. So it's pretty cool, and you can do this with every link that has these key and value pairs, assuming you know what data they actually are looking for. And finally, while it won't really matter for this video, you may have seen links that end with a hashtag and another word or phrase. On Wikipedia, for example, clicking on a table of contents changes the URL to include a hashtag followed by a section name. This is a local segment only, meaning that the website doesn't send the data to the server or anything. It's only read by your browser to determine things like whether dark mode is enabled or where to scroll on the page after it loads. So now hopefully links stop looking like random strings of characters and instead as actually quite structured instructions where each segment exists for a reason. I wanted to demystify all of this before getting into the actual point of the video, since I think a lot of modern tech fear-mongering comes from people not having a proper understanding of how it actually works and why certain things are set up the way that they are. But now that we've covered that, what is actually going on with YouTube links? So once again, whenever you click on a video, you get sent to youtube.com/watch, which we now know to be the watch page. But of course, /watch alone isn't enough. If you typed youtube.com/watch into your browser, it wouldn't load a specific video. We obviously need a video URL, which the link has in the form of a key and value pair. After the question mark, you'll see v equals followed by the unique identifier of whatever video you're trying to watch. And this is actually quite a sophisticated and efficient system, where YouTube gives each video its own string of characters, and all you do is just input that into the v parameter. So every video you ever watched was actually on the same exact /watch page. It just looks different based on, again, the video value that you give it. I'll also quickly mention that sometimes instead of the youtube.com/watch followed by a video value, you'll see something like youtube.b followed by the same string of characters. This is just YouTube's shortened link format, and it points you to the same video as the regular link, so it's not like a different link type or anything like that. And there are some other interesting parameters you can add intentionally. You can add values like t equals 90 to tell YouTube to start playback at the 90-second mark, or cc_load_policy equals 1 to force captions on. There are lots of these values that YouTube accepts, so you can look them up and play around with it. You can add hashtag comments to the end of any video link, and it will jump you to the comments immediately, which is pretty cool, but I don't believe there's any other hashtags that you can use. But then again, we get to the link that is given to you when you try to share a video. You'll notice that the share link has an additional parameter attached at the end, which starts with si equals, followed by another string of random letters and numbers. And I mentioned this before, but if you delete that si equals parameter and click the link again, the video still works perfectly and literally nothing seems to break or even change. So of course, this tells you immediately that the parameter is not required for any noticeable part of YouTube, so the only reasonable explanation is that it's some sort of tracker link, which it effectively is. We know it's not just to track the amount of times the video was shared, because if that was the case, why not just have a basic share equals true parameter? What's the purpose of giving each link an ID and tracking it? I mean, Discord does this too for server links, where it lets server owners see who made the link, see how much it was clicked, and also lets them delete it. And YouTube tracks their links for a similar purpose, to gather proper data. The problem with just giving a basic share link to everyone is that now you cannot answer how much the link was actually shared, which specific share caused the clicks, how far specific shares spread across the internet, which shares failed, and so on. They still would be able to see basic data without doing this, like which views came from which platform, but that's just seeing traffic. The same way Discord might tell you that 100 people joined through a share link, but you have no idea if it was one link or multiple. And data like that matters a lot for YouTube, because they can now see what makes some shares work better than others. Because all that YouTube cares about is how sharing causes viewing and not just where those clicks came from. So it needs to have access to the journey of a single share, which is where people get paranoid. Now, I'll obviously mention that these tracking links don't have, or at least shouldn't have, any identifiable information about you hidden within them. It's more so a serial number for each link and not the person sharing it. The problem, of course, is that with enough of these links, could YouTube not have a good understanding of you off-platform? Like, it could see that this account makes this unique link, and then this link gets shared in this Reddit community by this account, which now links your account. Or you send it to your friends who click it, and now YouTube has an idea that these YouTube accounts who click this link are your friends. And across many shares, not only could they theoretically build a big page of data about you, but also learn human behavior in general to make shares more efficient in keeping people hooked, which many find weird. Now, as with the actual privacy concerns, obviously YouTube isn't going to care about you directly, and even if they have some of this data, they'll only use it for occasional ads. I mentioned that YouTube could link your YouTube and Reddit account, for example, but the user account data doesn't actually get sent via the link. YouTube would need to manually open it to then see your profile, which they obviously are not gonna do for all of their users. But it's the fact that the information now exists that could trace back to you later, which is what people don't like. And so to finally answer the question of the video, while YouTube doesn't track you specifically, it gathers enough data about you to the point where they could if they wanted to, or someone else could. And it's why people are now suggesting to copy the video link itself from the browser bar without clicking on the share button. So if you'd like to right now, you could click the share button on this video and compare both links, and maybe share it to a friend so that YouTube knows who your friends are and all that. But I hope you enjoyed and learned from this video, and thank you for watching.